Hello and welcome to mufcMPB YouTube. I'm your host Ash Meppers, and today we'll be talking about the return of Antony. The loss of Lisandro Martínez. Unfortunately, bad news in that regard. You know, Erik Ten Hag confirming what we all dreaded, really, that he'll be undergoing surgery on his metatarsal, and I'll be bringing you more news in regard to that. But in positive, we've got Antony back. We've got more options at the right wing spot. So let's dive into today's football news. First and foremost, make sure if you're in the chat, you're letting us know your opinions, anything that's going on in the whole wider world of Manchester United that you want to talk about, you want to let us know. Let us know. Get yourself involved in the chat. And make sure you like, you subscribe. It always helps to push with the algorithm and stuff like that. So please, if you would, asking you kindly, it'd be very much appreciated. Again, what I was just alluding to, the breaking news that Erik Ten Hag, Antony will be in consideration to face Galatasaray tomorrow. Now, I mean, we've seen in the last couple of games us just struggle badly, struggle poorly to get any sort of rhythm in the final third. Anything in regard to, just finishing chances, creating opportunities. Højlund's been starved of service. Rashford's been limited and running down into back alleys and dead ends. Just provided nothing. Palistri's come into the team, looked excited, but actually not provided anything concrete. So here we're at with Antony back now and looking like he could be in contention for and consideration for tomorrow's game against Galatasaray. I will be going to that game, as I go to most games. I'm excited. I've got my European Champions League ticket. I'm only sat about 5 rows back from the front. Although I will say the views, I do like to sit a little bit higher at Old Trafford, because the closer you are to the pitch, the less you see tactically what's going on the football field, or at least it's a little bit harder to discern what's going on. How's it going, Zoe? Welcome into the stream. Anyone else diving in, make yourselves known and get your opinions heard. Zoe says, I hope Ten Hag can turn it around. I think he's the right manager for the long term. I think so too. I think that at the moment we've seen with the current barren spell of just available players, we've got injuries across the football field. Trying to switch up with a new style, with Onana replacing David De Gea, and players getting used to playing out of the back and kind of building things from the back rather than a style that was playing last year where we were looking to go a little bit longer and then activate the press from that, similar to how Brighton play at the moment currently, although they've not had too much success over the past weekend, losing 6-1 to Aston Villa. Absolute disastrous result for Brighton. I mean, the United curse, I've been a big believer and I've been an advocate, and I've pointed to something that I've never seen mentioned before on social media or pretty much anywhere. A United curse. I believe it exists. Now, what do I mean when I'm saying a United curse? What I'm saying is, whenever a team comes to Old Trafford and beats us, they have a terrible spell of results. They have just next time you see us get beat, hopefully not for a long time at Old Trafford, but next time you see, notice our opposition and notice the form afterwards. I mean, it's something like, of the last 20 teams to come to Old Trafford and beat us, I think 18 have then suffered and not been able to win the next game. It's madness. You take points away from us, it's going to hurt you in the long term. You've seen with Brighton, struggling in Europe. I think they've only won 1 game in the last 4 now, and De Zerbi, I wouldn't say he's coming under a little bit of pressure, but people aren't talking about him as they were earlier on the season and last season, totally. But in regard to our options and what we go in and our manager tomorrow, Erik Ten Hag, I have faith in him. He's got more options there with Antony. I like Antony. I'm a big fan of Antony. I understand that a lot of people look at him and think, oh well, yeah, but he can't go out on the outside. He's always looking to cut back on his left foot. He's very readable. That's like a lot of players, really. Look at Rashford on the left-hand side. He's not looking to go down. Nobody. I've never heard anyone talk about Rashford. He can't use his left foot and he doesn't cross the ball in off his left foot going down the line down the left. You don't hear it with Antony. You hear it a lot now. Okay, he is really one-footed, but we've seen that in the past with players like Antonio Valencia, who's done fantastically well and had a great career at Manchester United as a one-footed player. And you look at some of the past players like David Beckham, for instance, or Arjen Robben. For me, Antony, when you look at him, he's got all the skills, all the attributes, all the kind of qualities to go and make it as a top professional. He's good on the ball. He's good taking his man on one-to-one. Okay, he's probably better when his back's against his opponent and then he's looking to swivel or, looking for a cheeky nutmeg, and you see him run off the pitch sometimes and run straight back on. You've seen him do that in a couple of instances. So he's got the dribbling ability. His passing range could be improved, but it's not terrible. It's not terrible by any stretch. His defensive acumen, his tactical acumen, his pressing surprised me. I was looking at the pressing stats recently, and actually his pressures is less per 90 than Rashford at the moment, and that's not good. That's something that needs to be improved upon. For me, it's just a mental issue in regard to his decision making. That quick pass inside, that incisive pass, or the 1-2, the ball on the outside, things like that really is where Antony suffers. But you look everywhere else, like I said, he's got a great shot, his passing's decent, he's great at dribbling his men. He's 23 years old. He's got plenty of time to improve. You look at players like Mo Salah comes into the league, 25 years old. Some of the top players in world football, generally, they come, especially the wide players, they come into their own, they come into the prime around about 25, 26. So Antony's got plenty of time and room to develop. I've got all faith and hope that he'll be a great attribute, accessory, a great player to have as an extra option there, especially with Pellistri suffering and us having not too many options on that right hand side. Although at one point I would have liked to see Mason Mount play on that right hand side. That would have been my preference, because I think what Mason Mount brings you in regard to pressing, in regard to the passing in behind, his ability to cross the ball on the right foot. I would love to see Mason Mount being played on that right side. I think that would also help to kind of shore up the midfield with Amrabat and Mejbri and Bruno, Casemiro. You could play there in the midfield, as a midfield free, and I can't imagine us struggling for possession and domination within the midfield. I mean, you look at the game against Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace, it wasn't an issue of controlling the ball and controlling the play. We did control the ball. We had 78% possession. We had 650 plus passes against Crystal Palace. Our issue was just being able to get the ball to the strikers and the wide players' feet, and then creating a chance in the box, something that we've struggled with all season and we struggled with last season. So how Antony comes in and rectifies that and helps kind of alleviate the issues there, we'll see tomorrow. If he starts, will he get thrown straight into the team? I'm not too sure. What do you think, boys? Let me know. Would you start him tomorrow, or would you look to bring him off the bench 60, 70 minutes, and slowly bed him in? He very rarely struggles with injury issues, so it's just a matter of getting him up to speed and where he's at with his fitness. With missing, I think he's missed 5 games this season. He started the first 4, so where we're at with that. Let's see what you boys have got to say. Good evening, Scatty. Evening, Ash and all. Good evening. Antony has the right attitude, in my opinion. Just that end decision to fine tune. I agree completely, Scatty. For me, I think attitude-wise, application, it's there. I was saying a couple of weeks ago on the show that if we could just mould Jadon Sancho and Antony together, have the application of Antony with the talent of Sancho, then we'd have the perfect right winger. I mean, Antony's he's not there yet. It is that kind of decision making. It's that end product that it's in the final third where he's got the issues, but defensively fantastic. Holding onto the ball and kind of keeping the ball in play, possession, recycling the ball, fantastic. It's just those final third passes and not being able to pick his head up, which we've seen with players like Nani in the past, players who are frustrating, and you look at them and you're screaming at them to pass. And we've got 2 of those wide players now in Rashford and Antony, and Højlund's needs service if he's going to start scoring goals, and we want to see our big Dane, get on the score sheet and kind of get himself used to just having chances and having goal mouth action, something that he's kind of been restricted to. You know, and he's not had those opportunities over the past couple of weeks. You saw against Bayern scoring a nice goal against Bayern. A little bit of a deflection, a little bit fortuitous, but you need that from your number 9s. You need that from your strikers, you know, the ones that get a little bit lucky, get those deflections and score those kind of goals. Against Crystal Palace, I mean, I think he just had the one header at the near post and pretty much had nothing else going on that day. You know, he had next to no service at his feet in the box. And outside of the box, if we're being honest, he's looked a little bit ropey. He's looked a little bit Lukaku-ish. You know, he's had a few poor touches, but you could put that down to, well, he's not had a pre-season, he's not fully match fit. You know, there's the nerves of being under the Old Trafford lights. You know, those are bright, shiny lights, you know, that weigh heavily on new players, and we've seen with many players come to Old Trafford and struggle. So, but I've got faith in the lad. I just want to see him be given more service, more runs to create more space from Bruno and Mason Mount and Rashford and potentially Antony. And I think we'll see Højlund scoring at least 10-15 goals this season. So I'll be excited about that. How's it going, Pika? Evening, Ash and everyone else. Antony to start after the last game. We need something different. Yeah, now you know, I know there's a lot of Palistri fans. There's a big following for Palistri at Manchester United. There's something about players that don't start at Manchester United. They seem to kind of get these weird cult followings. Players like Donny van der Beek and now Palistri. And I don't know where it comes from, because I look at Palistri and I just don't see anything spectacular from him. I've watched him quite a lot for Uruguay, and you know, watched him at Deportivo Alaves, and I watched him at Manchester United, and he looks exciting up until the final third, and then there's nothing going on. And you could say the same in this season, at least for Antony. Last season, Antony, you know, he showed up in a few big games. That Barcelona moment comes to mind, and I feel like in his first season, you know, you can't expect too much from him. But again, you know, we do expect a little bit more. You know, when we do want to be seen a little bit more. Therefore, want Antony, Højlund, Garnacho as our front three against Galatasaray. That's the interesting one. Who do we play off the left-hand side? We'll talk about that a little bit later, but going back into the news of Lisandro Martínez, breaking, Lisandro Martínez will have a second operation on his broken metatarsal on Monday after suffering setback in his return from injury. If you don't know what your metatarsal is, essentially, imagine your foot. I'm not getting my foot, you know, here live on mufcMPB. YouTube, so you won't be seeing any feet. There's no feet show today, but imagine that's your foot. Yeah, see these here, those, but on your foot. I think it's his second one that he broke. He broke it actually against Sevilla late on in the game. He was winning that game 2-0. I know that I was at that game. I remember shouting to a friend in front of me. I said he's done his metatarsal. You know, it's the way he just. It pops, and we've seen it in the past with players like David Beckham and Wayne Rooney, you know, have big metatarsal injuries and struggle with them, and it's one of those moments that's it's frustrating as a Manchester United fan to see that one, it's happened. You know, you should be feeling it really. You should be able to say to your manager, look, you know, I'm feeling a little bit tight down there. You know, I need a little bit of rest. You know, and hopefully you don't get that stress fracture, because that's what it is. It's a stress fracture, if you're questioning, you know, how does this happen? The kind of, it's in the name. It's a stress fracture. It's because the metatarsal itself has been stressed. It's been put under too much pressure, too much strain. So this is something that you'd hope at Manchester United, with one of the, or at least previously under Sir Alex Ferguson, one of the best medical teams in world football. You'd be hoping that players would be having routine scans and be looking at these things, and these things will be getting picked up in like the kind of weekly medical assessments. But at Manchester United, you've seen over the last 6, 12, 18 months, our medical team now that's been in for at least 8 years now, it's poor. It's a bad medical team. That, I mean, to say it's a bad medical team, you know, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but you look at the amount of injuries that we've had over the last 12 months. You look at the Mason Mount injuries. You look at Luke Shaw. You look at the defenders. I mean, never been able to get Erik Bailly or Phil Jones or Chris Smalling, or we've seen now with Lisandro Martínez. Varane's always had his issues with his knees. He grew up with a condition with his legs, and he has to go to see every 3 months, every quarterly. He goes for regular checkups at his doctor in Metz in France. But at Manchester United, you'd expect the very best in class when it comes to the medical checkups, and unfortunately this was never found. And not only was it not found, Lisandro Martínez came back into pre-season, and we played him in pre-season. Now, how that is allowed to happen, how that gets past our medical staff, how it gets to Erik ten Hag, and maybe Lisandro Martínez is keeping that quiet, but I can't imagine he would be. Is he going, no, the pain, I've got no pain, it's fine. I can play. But the fact that he feels any sort of pain, and he was apparently playing with painkillers, that is a bad look, and that is what is the end goal there? The moment a player starts taking painkillers for a potential injury, a potential, just football games, then at some point something's going to pop, something's going to go. So you're better off just resting that player or getting him the medical treatment that he needs before something serious occurs. Unfortunately, we didn't do that, and we've seen now he's out for 2 to 3 months. And let's see what you boys have got to say. Jack says, exclusive to Jim Ratcliffe, the Ineos petrochemicals billionaire is contemplating buying a minority stake in Manchester United Football Club. We've heard this a few times now. I think it's just a quiet news days. Jack also says, rather than seeking full control at Old Trafford, an effort to conclude the 10 months long process to determine its future ownership, that's just never happening. Touch wood, but that's just never happening. The fans would never allow it. The uproar, that's just never happening. Peak says, Antony's only actual good game this season so far was pre-season, to be fair, so I'm hoping he'll improve. You'd hope so. Ash's feet are in Discord. What? On X? My feet are on X. If you want to go see my feet, they're on there. We all remember that Sevilla game. Yeah, that's one thing that sticks out of that Sevilla game. I was there, and I said to the lads in front, after we went 2-0 up, we'll smash this. We got this. This is easy. Do you know what I mean? Sevilla are awful. They're getting relegated. I can't remember if they were under Lopetegui at the time, but and then the lad in front of me says to me, "Don't you say that? Shut your mouth. Don't jinx it." And honestly, it's one of those moments where it felt like a big jinx. Oh, I was sick with it. Peak says, Zoe says, how long are you expecting him to be sidelined? 2 to 3 months we're looking at Lisandro Martínez out. Scotty says, worrying that it wasn't healed before he was allowed back. Maybe it was LICHA saying he was okay. Yeah, I was just alluding to that then, Scotty. Potentially, yeah. Some players, you can hide it. You can... Yeah. The thing is, you hope that the medical staff is good enough, because in an ideal world, what happens is you bring him into pre-season and you get a hold of his foot, and you massage it. You have a feel. There's nothing really you can tell there. What you're looking for is you're looking for a reaction in the player, and you just press it and you just maneuver it. Now maybe Lisandro Martínez he's been able to show no discomfort whatsoever. But, if he's got a bit of pain there, at some point he would be showing his discomfort. And at that point, you'd want the physio to go, look, boss. Speak to Erik ten Hag, speak to, some of the coaching staffs and say, look, Lisandro's got a little bit of discomfort in his foot here. When I'm assessing it, when I'm stretching it and, I'm feeling it out, I can see he's tensing up and he's in visible pain. Now, the very best physios, they should be able to notice that. They should be able to see and be able to read the player. If he's got a little bit of pain. there's not many players and there's not many people in the world who, when you're being pressed and pushed in somewhere where it's discomforting and it's in pain and there's an issue there. There's very rarely will you get no reaction. So the fact that our physios have not been able to pick that up, if that is indeed the case, that's the best scenario really. That our physios, they looked at it and they didn't pick it up. The worst case scenario is our physios picked it up, saw he was in discomfort, and said, you know what, here you go, here's some painkillers, here's an injection to play through the pain. That to me, I really hope that that's not what happened in this scenario. I'd like to know more. You know, I would like to hear the press question it more. How has this been allowed to happen? How has this occurred where Lisandro Martínez has got had this kind of an injury? It was said by Chris Wheeler at Daily Mail that Lisandro Martínez took painkillers to play in the game against Brighton and Bayern Munich, and further tests on Thursday revealed that his foot fracture has not healed correctly. The moment a player needs to start taking kind of painkillers and any kind of medicine to kind of shadow and cover up that kind of pain, at that point you've got to put them in the rest. You've got to put them in rest and recuperation. You know, you've got to allow the foot to heal. You know, especially coming off the back of a surgery. It's absolute madness how this has been allowed to happen. Erik Ten Hag confirms Lisandro Martínez will undergo surgery on his foot injury. Apparently that surgery's been done today. That'll be a 2-3 month recovery, so we won't be seeing him back until late January. Tough really. And you look at it and you think, well, that explains why early on in the season he wasn't playing as well as he was last season, because he was looking a little bit ropey. I actually pointed out that maybe it was a fitness issue where he piled on a little bit too much muscle. I mean, where I was looking at his physique and I'm thinking, you know, he has packed on a little bit too muscle, and maybe because he's not been on the field running, you know, because of the injury, because of the pain in his right foot, in his metatarsal. That he's been doing gym work instead, and he's tried to kind of get his exercise and his cardio through there. So, but I mean, if you're playing through a metatarsal, anyone's broken any kind of foot or bone in your foot, you know it takes years for it to potentially feel back to 100%. I mean, I broke toe, metatarsal, and it's one of those where in the cold for at least a good year or two afterwards, you feel it. There's that ache there, and your foot doesn't feel right. So the fact that he's playing through that pain, absolute madness at Manchester United. Madness. We don't want to be seeing it. Pika Chad says 2-3 months at least. Again, yep. Zoe says, you think Jack... we looked so good with that first half with Martial and Sabitzer up front. Against Sevilla, you're talking about. Yeah. I mean, it all went wrong, didn't it? You know, LICHA got injured, and then the own goal from Harry Maguire, and it just fell apart. And then, you know, the away leg, the bad pass from David De Gea, and we just gave up that game. That should have been 2 trophies for us last season. You know, that we should have had an extra Europa League. Adam says, Varane saying we can win the Champions League. How high? What do you want him to say, though? That's the problem, Adam, isn't it? You know, he's not going to say no. You know, you get asked the question, how far do you think you go? Do you think you can win the Champions League? What's your answer going to be to that? You can't say, no, I don't really think we can win it. Say, yeah, well, we've got a good squad. I believe in my teammates. There's no reason why we can't go and win this trophy. I'm happy. I have no issues with him saying that. I have no issues with it saying. Sky says that's the reason the very best physio will see these issues. We don't have the best ones. Exactly that, Sky. You know, we don't have the best ones anymore. You know, we don't pay for them. You see, our physios. I can't remember the name of Paul. Paul Coates, I believe. They've been our medical team's been there since 2012. So they've been there essentially since. David Moyes, LVG, Mourinho, Ole, and now Ten Hag. Ten Hag wanted to bring his own man into Manchester United from Ajax, his own strength and conditioning coach, and the Glazers said no. The Glazers, you know, they weren't willing to fund that. Now, whether that's Ed Woodward, whether that's Richard Murtough or John Murtough or Richard Arnold, I'm not too sure. But the fact that Ten Hag's not been given his conditioning coaches is. It's a big red flag. It's a big red flag, and I'm not too sure why you wouldn't be giving your strength and conditioning coaches, you know, especially if you want him to get the very best out of his squad. David Day has been on Instagram. He said, "Stay strong, warrior." David, what's David Day doing these days? It's a bizarre one. We're all kind of wondering what's his next step. Apparently, if he doesn't want to get a big club, he's going to be looking to retire. Surprise! I'd bring him back into Manchester United. I'd bring him back in as a second goalkeeper. Why not? You know, he's good for dressing room morale. You know, he's always you know, served us well. Depending on his wage demands, yeah, I'd have no issue bringing him back. David De Gea, you know, put Onana under a little bit of pressure, make sure. I mean, I'd still keep Onana is our number one, but there's no harm having De Gea there as backup. Not at all. Are we happy being a cup team? League feels gone already. Yeah, I mean, league. What are we? 9 points off top? 12 points. I mean, there's still opportunities there to get back in, but I mean, we've won what, or at least we've lost four of 7 games. You know, it's been poor in the Premier League. There needs to be a big turnaround. I'm not even thinking about league at the moment. We are a cup team right now. Unfortunately, you know, we've got to look to the FA Cup, the League Cup, and you know what? You wouldn't complain if we won the Champions League, would you? You know, I'd gladly give up a Premier League to win a Champions League. Yeah, that'd be nice. I'd be okay with that. So with these defensive issues, according to Fabrizio Romano, Manchester United have started internal talks about signing a new important centre-back in 2024. Jean-Claire Todibo is still being scouted. United are also tracking Antonio Silva and Edmund Tapsoba. Out of those three, I know there's a big following for Antonio Silva, but I just look at the pedigree of Todibo. And, you know, the fact that he came through the La Masia Academy, you know, he's trained well at Benfica, you know, he's got the right attitude at the moment where he's looking for a team. He doesn't want to take any opportunity. He wants to go to a team where he knows he's going to guarantee himself kind of playing time so that he's going to be able to play at the Euros, going to play at potential World Cups in the future. And I look at him and he's got everything. I'm a big fan of Todibo, and apparently can be had for 35-40 million. I don't understand why we've not done that deal in the summer. You know, Erik Ten Hag wanted a centre-back. We saw very early on in the transfer window us being linked with Kim Min-jae, the Bayern centre-back, and that just not happening, be it for the fact that we didn't pay the release clause. Maybe he wanted to go to Bayern. We won't really know about that. Apparently it was the fact that we were just dawdling on the deal and Bayern came in a little bit later and just came in, you know, and kind of snatched him from, you know, underneath our grasp. And it's been shown that the Ten Hag wants a centre-back. He's wanted a centre-back from the start of the transfer window back all the way back in June. And to end up with Johnny Evans, I mean, not to say that Johnny Evans is a bad centre-back, he's a bad defender. Johnny Evans is very serviceable, but you see with the injuries that we've got to Lisandro Martínez, you see the lack of reliability from Varane. Potentially Lindelof just not being good enough. You know, he's proved now, we've seen him for 5 years now, and at no point has he really shown that he could establish himself as a full-time centre-back for Manchester United, you know, to be that man, to be a starter. You know, he's not that guy. Maguire, I mean, there was rumours and there was links to West Ham, and it was looking for a long period that he was going to go to West Ham, albeit for him not accepting a £12 million payoff, or wanting, I believe, a £12 million payoff from Manchester United. We should have gave him the money. You know, we should have moved that on and potentially brought in a little bit of freshness. So we're still stuck with Harry Maguire, and we're in a position now where we've got Lisandro Martínez injured. Varane's another year down the line. Is going to be 31, 32 going in next season. And we need centre-backs. I mean, the idea that we need one centre-back, I think we need two. We should be buying two of those three. We should be buying Tapsoba and Todibo, or Antonio Silva and Todibo. You know, we potentially need two. We've also been linked with Braithwaite at Everton, who performed fairly well at the Euros with England, and we went on to win that tournament. He played a few games there. So there's a few young lads as well that we've been linked with. It's a frustrating situation to be in. Pika Chad says, I always wanted De Gea as our backup this season. It would have been nice, but you know, he turned down that big contract, didn't he? So there's nothing we can do there. We offered him a contract, we offered him enough money, and he said no. So what can you do? Not even looking good at home anymore. League is so far away from us. At home, we've lost 2 games in the league in the last 3 games in the league out of the last 40 games. 2 of those have been recent, which is where it's the problem. You know, that game against Crystal Palace should never have been a loss. You know, poor defending again. Lindelof, you know, set piece. You could say that Højlund doesn't clear the ball well enough. It's just a little bit unlucky. You know, they had 3 chances all game and they scored from one of them. It seems to be the way. You know, you saw that against Brighton. You know, they had the first chance, they go and score. we've just got that weakness and that suppleness at the back that's been causing us issues now for a few years. We need to get ourselves, a decent centre-back and a decent few centre-backs. You see with Manchester City and Pep Guardiola, not resting someone like Laporte, who potentially could play for Manchester United right now, replacing Laporte, Diaz, Ake, Akanji, just options after options, and it's something that we lack. So it's not been a good situation. Any centre-backs coming through the youth for us? There's Fish and to be honest, the quality's not there, Scotty. Not from what I'm seeing. The quality's not there. We've got quality from the rest of the youth team outside. You look at the midfield, you look at Dan Gore, you look at Kobe Maino, you look at Shea Lacey, you look at those players. But generally, from the centre back, I'm not seeing it. No one that's caught my eye anyway. So that's the kind of situation we're in at the moment. And another defender that we brought in on loan, Sergio Regon, is 1 to 2 weeks away from returning from injury. That's according to Insider United. The fact that we've had to bring in a fullback who is renowned for being injury prone was madness. What were we expecting? Again, just the Glazers, the Glazer madness, absolute criminal that we were bringing in a fullback. We should have. You say we shouldn't be in this position. It's one of those situations where the Glazers they've not been there with the funds to kind of help Erik Ten Hag. Now people will say, we spent 200 million, we spent 400 million. You just look to Manchester City, you just look to Chelsea, you just look to other teams, and you look to the fact that the lack of spend we've had over the last 6 years, where we've needed to spend the big money in these kind of areas, and the wastage of money. It's just not been good enough from a Manchester United standpoint. And again, talking about the Glazers, you look at this. This is Old Trafford, and this is the Stretford end leaks there that we're told that they were fixed. They were told that there was no issues in regard to the leaks. And I've been at Old Trafford plenty of times, and many a times I've been sat there, with a drip, dink, dink, dink on the head for a full 90 minutes. It's just not good enough. We're desperate to get rid of these owners. They've been holding us back for years. They've been holding back the stadium. They've been holding back the medical staff. They've been holding back the team. We just see it every single week. And opposition fans can laugh and can point to the Norwich City colours and say that, it's Glazers out every time we lose. Win, lose or draw, it's Glazers out. That's how it's been at Old Trafford, It's how it is at Old Trafford every single week. We are most vocal when we are scoring. We are winning, shouting Glazers out. Malcolm in a box, all that kind of chants, and unfortunately we're not seeing any movement right now. Whether something changes over the next couple of weeks, we'll see. According to Neil Custis at The Sun, Sheikh Jassim will complete his full takeover at Manchester United in the next 2 weeks. Now, I believe this is backed up off the report of him saying about a month ago that the deal will be done in October. There's been a few people said that the deal will be done in October. Nothing concrete as of yet. We've heard that we've heard tonight that Sir Jim Ratcliffe apparently wants to buy a small percentage of Manchester United. He's happy. That to me could indicate that this deal is happening, because if Sir Jim is kind of scrambling and worried and thinking, right, have I got this? Is this deal gone? Have we lost this deal? Right, well, if we can't own the club outright, what I'm going to do as a last minute kind of play to try and get any kind of ownership at Man United, I'll say, look, we'll buy 25%. We'll give that money. We'll give you your funding that you need for the stadium and for the training ground renovations, and we'll start off with 25%. That to me sounds like potentially the deal could be done with Sheikh Jassim, because he might be hearing that the deal's moving forward. It's looking like the takeover's happening, and it looks like we're going to be moving with Sheikh Jassim. And then he, like I said, he at last minute as some kind of like death of play, to be able to just hold on to some kind of rights within Manchester United, some kind of ownership within Manchester United. So Jim Ratcliffe has kind of played his last hand. So that could be happening, and we could see a little bit of movement over the next couple of months. Mr. Stats, welcome in. Hello. Make sure as well, boys, if you've not already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the like if you would be so kind to. It always helps with the algorithm. It helps us push the stream forward. You know, we're looking for bigger and better things as we move on in toward the season. You know, hopefully bringing you all the latest and greatest Manchester United news. Some good news, hopefully, in the next couple of weeks. We'll see about that, though. We'll see about that. Will the Glazers... This was a question that was asked on the mufcMPB Twitter account, Twitter X. Will the Glazers still be owners of Manchester United in 3 months' time? What are you feeling? Let us know in the comment section, in the chat down below, if you're watching on demand or you're watching live. Do you believe that the Glazers will still be owners of Manchester United in 3 months' time? Now, if you're asking me the question, I'm asking you, chat. What do you think? As we get to October, November, December, this time next year. Well, they say this time next year. We get to January, just around Christmas. That'd be a nice Christmas present, wouldn't it? The Glazers gone. Do you think they'll still be owning the club? Personally, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I can't see him leaving anytime soon. I really can't. I look at the advent of the new Champions League format, the new league format in the Champions League with an extra 100 games across all clubs. You know, the amount of money that they'll be generating there. You look at the new format of the FIFA Club World Cup and kind of that as a massive tournament in the next couple of years. You know, there's a lot of money there that the Glazers are looking to kind of understand how much is going to be brought into the club over the next couple of years, and how much increased revenue is that going to bring in. And I believe it'll bring in. You think of the new Champions League anyway. You think the new Champions League is going to be at least 3 or 4 more games for each club. Now that's 4 or 5 million a match day for. Also, depending on what kind of teams you're playing, you're looking at the TV rights to be renegotiated, and then you look at the Club World Cup, and the Club World Cup potentially is going to be a 50-60 million per event. You know, that's going to be you get to a situation where you're playing Manchester United are playing Boca Juniors, River Plate, Club America, Santos. We're playing the MLS sides like Inter Miami, and you know there's potential for big money to be gained there from the Glazers. So, in regard to are they going to be there within the next 3 months, unless Sheikh Jassim kind of pulls his money out and says, you know what, I'm frustrated, I'm tired of this deal, I want to get it done, you know, and kind of goes over the top, which I don't believe they will do. I don't believe the Qataris and the Qatari Investment Fund, I don't believe these stupid men. I believe they're playing the long game. They're in no rush to buy Manchester United. The problem I look at it is United aren't going down in value. United, as much as we see the stock and the share value, United very rarely, or at least will never kind of lose money unless we get relegated, unless we have an absolute collapse in form and we get relegated. The value of Manchester United is going to stick around the 4 or 5 billion mark. So the fact that the Glazers want 6 or 7 billion themselves, you know, with that little added premium, that will be realised in the next couple of years. You wait if the Glazers were to wait 5 years, and the club was to kind of remain the same, you know, bouncing in and out of the Champions League. I mean, you look, there's 5 places now. There's 5 Champions League places. So if you finish 5th this season in the Premier League, you go into the Champions League if you finish 5th. So there's that you know, extra option there for Manchester United and the Glazers. And they look and they think the next 5 years, the club should easily be worth 6 or 7 billion, and then they should be looking for 10 billion, which we've heard them rumoured to be wanting at one point or another. So I can't, unless, like I said, unless Sheikh Jassim comes in with a big bid, I can't see the Glazers relinquishing control, you know, for at least a couple of years. And it's okay. I apologise about being the bearer of bad news, but I just can't see it. You know, I don't feel like they need to leave and sell the club. From their point of view, they have no issue with the protests. Unless we start getting games cancelled, they're easily just sat there over in Tampa Bay and just enjoying themselves while they reap in the 20 million every single year, and the club continues to be valued higher in price every single year. The price of the club isn't going down. Joseph says, if they accept this Jim offer, then yes. If they accept this Jim offer, the 25%, I mean, if this that means we're stuck with them for the next 10, 15 years, Joseph. That means we're definitely not getting rid of the Glazers. The one thing I said a little bit earlier was, hopefully this is just a final play from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, because he knows that the deal is nearly done for Sheikh Jassim, and it's his only way of trying to convince and turn the Glazers' heads to say, look, okay, you can still be owners, and I can still own a little bit of Manchester United, because at one point we heard from Sir Jim Ratcliffe that he doesn't want any part of ownership to be held by the Glazers, and he was adamant with that for the first 12 months. Hearing of the potential deal from Sir Jim Ratcliffe's camp was, no, we don't want the Glazers to have any involvement with the club at all. And then now all of a sudden tonight we're hearing that, oh well, actually he's happy to own 25%. That to me sounds like there potentially could be something rumbling on in the background. So we'll have to wait and see in the next couple of days. We'll bring you the news. mufcMPB, make sure you follow on Twitter. I'll be here on Wednesday. We've got Anil Kandola tomorrow and Anton on Thursday, Friday, with all the latest and greatest breaking news. Sky says, I think if we're out of the Champions League and doing poor in the league at Christmas, they'll sell. We've seen plenty of times, that them struggle and suffer, and they've no kind of inclination to sell. So I just can't see it. I really just can't see it. 20 Legend says, with how the whole summer was about Sheikh being close to finish the deal, then Sir Jim almost closed the deal, then suddenly back to Sheikh Jassim and done deal next week, then suddenly in 2 weeks' time. So I can't see the Glazers leaving soon either. Yeah, exactly. It's just a case of we just got to wait and see, boys. Like I said, any of the latest and breaking news, we'll bring it over there. You talk about the summer, and Manchester United considered signing Adrian Rabiot in the summer on a free transfer, but decided to go for Mason Mount instead. We apparently was linked with Rabiot as well last year, and ended up with Casemiro because Rabiot's mother wasn't happy with the deal that was happening, which was by the by. Rabiot over Mason Mount. I mean, personally, I'm happy with signing Mason Mount. I think Mason Mount will do great things for Manchester United. I think going forward, you look at his career already, 23 years old. You look at the forward players and the attacking midfielders and that you can compare him with. I've pointed to a few times with Luka Modric. At a similar age, Luka Modric, wasn't anywhere on the world stage. He was playing for Dynamo Zagreb. He was playing as a wide forward. He was playing as a cam, as a left winger, right winger. He's playing all over the place, and then he goes to Spurs, and he slowly starts to sit a little bit deeper, kind of turn into that number 8, and then he goes to Real Madrid and cements himself as a number 8, and is absolutely outstanding and been one of the world best midfielders we've ever seen. You look at the quality, and I'm not going to say that Mason Mount will ever reach those heights, but I will say is at the same age, Mason Mount has all the quality and all the ability to go on to have a successful career. You'd expect him. You look at his quality on the ball, you look at his decision making, you look at his pressing, you look at his long passing, his short passing. He's got everything, and I'm excited to see Mason Mount's future. You can say the first 4 games he played for Manchester United was potentially he was playing with a hamstring injury. We know that now with Lisandro Martínez, we're okay at playing players injured, not playing fully fit. So you could potentially chalk down the bad form, the bad spell to the lingering hamstring injury that was occurring to Mason Mount. Now, since he's come back into the team and he's fully fit, looking fully fit, he's looked decent. He looked decent against Crystal Palace in the first game against the League Cup, and then we lost that game against Palace at the weekend, but by all accounts, that was not Mason Mount's problem. He played a decent game. Was involved in the play, and I felt like he's getting himself into a little bit of form with Manchester United, and I'm excited to see him move forward in the future. Peak says Mount, Rabiot any day, but why didn't we just get both of them if we want? That's what we should be doing, shouldn't we, Chad? you get both of them, and if they don't work, you get rid. You know, we've got the money. Glazers. Mount last season and this season has been injury prone. Before that, he was class for Chelsea, a must-have in fantasy football teams. Oh yeah, I mean, I've been watching Mount since his Derby days, and I remember watching Mason Mount at Derby and thinking, I'm feeling devastated that Chelsea have got themselves a world-class football. They basically got themselves a reincarnated, albeit smaller, Frank Lampard. And I was so frustrated, and then the fact that he plays for us now, I'm super excited to see his future and see progress in our football team. I've got big hopes. You know, I believe that Mason Mount will be a great addition to our squad. Erik Ten Hag's top target for a new creative midfielder this summer was Mason Mount, and his top target for a defensive midfielder was Sofian Amrabat. Manchester United signed them both. Both looking to bed themselves into the team. I wouldn't say the issue is with either of those players. I think, you know, Amrabat, he's not had a chance to play in the midfield that much, albeit he's been able to play as an inverted fullback. But you look and he's had to play as a left back. I want to see him play as a full-time, number 6, number 8 next to Casemiro and see what that brings with Luke Shaw in the team. I'm excited for Luke Shaw coming back. Or potentially move Dalot over there and put Lindelof on that right back spot, which he's played for Benfica and he's played for Sweden and Manchester United before. So I would like to see that. But Ten Hag as according to Fabrizio Romano, has been supported. Marcus Thuram was also available on a free transfer this summer and was considered by Manchester United, but decided against signing him. He should have been a player that we should be looked to sign, especially on a free transfer. We need strikers. I mean, we've got Martial's not reliable anymore, and other than Højlund, who's a young kid coming into Old Trafford, trying to make his name. It's just not good enough. We've not got the options, and we need help there. We need options up top, and we're lacking for that. And we've seen that with the inability to score goals lately. You saw against Burnley, Bruno Fernandes scoring, against Palace not being able to score. Against Bayern Munich, we didn't do too bad. By the way, on my YouTube at Ash Meppers, I've finally got my Bayern matchday vlog up there. So if you want to go and watch that, I'd be eternally grateful. That's weird not to go for Thuram for free when he's just 26 years old as well. A lot of it's the wages. Looking at the wages, and it's bizarre when you consider the players that come off the wage book over the past 12 months. With not having Pogba on there anymore, not having David De Gea on there, and just the Glazers scrimping and scraping. It's been poor. Watched it before coming in here. Great vlog, Ash. Hey, appreciate it, Sky. Thank you very much, man. Yeah, going to be watching the vlog after this. Thank you very much, boys. Also, I'll be bringing a Galatasaray vlog. Hopefully this week. I'll be getting them up a lot more readily. I mean, this past week or 10 days, me and the family have been fighting the Rona. We all been kind of struck down with COVID, feeling absolutely awful and dreadful. We're only just getting over it. So we'll get back to routine match day vlogs and much kind of better feeling and emotion in regard to the mufcMPB streams as well. Also, make sure if you've not already to hit that like button and subscribe. We're not going anywhere. We'll be here for a long time. So make sure you're getting involved and you're part of our future as we hope to be part of yours. Breaking: Kobe Mainoo is back in training with Manchester United first team today. Fantastic news. Seeing the training pictures today, oh, what a relief. I mean, just options there, options in the midfield. This kid's going to make the world of a difference. We've seen anybody who's been an MUTV subscriber or watched a few of the academy games and the youth games. This is a kid who just controls the midfield. He dictates the play. He can play as a number 6. He plays number 8. He's got everything. I'm super excited to see him back into our team and hopefully not suffering with any more injuries. He's fit here on out. I'm excited to get him back into our team and potentially replace Casemiro at some point. Casemiro this season has been looking a little bit ropey, and maybe our young Kobe Mainoo can kind of take that on his shoulders and take that role within himself and be able to kind of cement his position in the Manchester United squad. We're looking like we've got a few options now back. We've also seen Antony, Kobe Mino, and Sofian Amrabat in training today. You look at the size of Kobe. You know, he's a big lad. You know, he's got that dexterity. He's got the ability on the ball, the agility, and I'm super excited to see him back in the first team. What I will say is I don't want to rush him back. You know, we've been able to kind of navigate the games so far without being desperate for him, and we're in a situation where already, you know, we're relying on the young lads to come into the team to make a big difference, and that's how it should be at Manchester United. We've always been a team that's relied on the youth, and I'm excited to see it. You know, I'm hopeful, and hopefully Kobe will have a big future with us. I have no doubts he will. Cassie, leading goal scorer? No, yeah, Cassie, our leading goal scorer, absolute smashing the goals in. And with Amrabat coming into the team and Kobe in the team, that it frees up Casemiro to be able to get into the box a little bit more. You know, he's been fantastic on set pieces as well, Casemiro. So, but what we need Casemiro to do is kind of get his defensive contribution back up to scratch, because we've seen, okay, he's been great with the attacking contribution, but defensively and playing as the number 6, as the CDM, the central defensive midfielder, that he's not performed as adequately as we've needed. Need some fresh blood in the team and bring that energy with some of our seniors are now lacking. He may be walking yellow card, but I love Hannibal's energy. You know what? I was devastated when I saw the team news against Crystal Palace. I was devastated. I've been looking, and if you'd have been watching mufcMPB for any like long period of time, you would know that I've been a big advocate and a big fan of Hannibal getting into the Manchester United team. I love his tenacity. I love his energy. I love his ability on the ball. I think he's got everything to be able to be a top professional and to be at least be a guaranteed squad member. So I'm excited to see him back in the team. Hopefully we see him tomorrow again. You know, he's great at the press. You saw he's been the man who's covered the most distance for any player since under the Ten Hag era, really. He's been our best pressing player, and you know, you look at his passing, he's 90% passing accuracy. You know, his duels, he's well over 50% with his duels. He's got the numbers. You know, he passes the eye test. I want to see more of Hannibal, I really do. And if that means moving Mason Mount over to the right wing, then I'm okay with that for now. You know, Bruno, I wouldn't be. I don't know what we're saying, boys. How do you feel about dropping Bruno? I love Bruno Fernandes. You know, it feels like blasphemy almost saying drop Bruno Fernandes, but you know, a little bit of rest. You know, he's played a lot of games over this past 12 months. Played almost all the games for Portugal, all the games for Manchester United. Played more games than any outfield player in Europe this past season. So, you know, him having a little bit of a rest, a little bit of a break, getting fresh. You could almost say that he's become a little bit stale in his idea and his thinking, because he's not creating those chances, those passes in the final third. We're not seeing as much as we have done previously from Bruno. You know, the shots, the runs, the kind of the marauding into the box. It's just not been there, unfortunately. I love Bruno and Rashford, but there comes a time where we might need to consider dropping them for a few games just to freshen them up. You know, all the best players have sat on the bench from time to time. Bruno in them empty stadiums when he signed was something else. Oh, monster, weren't he? I was watching it the other day. I was watching a compilation clip of him. There is no sign of Sergio Reguilon in training today. The provisional aim is for him to be available to play against Brentford on Saturday. We're looking about 2 weeks out. I don't think he'll be playing against Brentford. We'll see about that. Also, just in, Manchester United and Real Madrid want to sign Benfica centre-back Antonio Silva. Silva and Benfica are both aware of the interest. We desperately need centre-backs. I mean, Silva looks like he needs to put on a little bit of weight, a little bit of muscle to me. But you could have said the same about Ruben Diaz when Ruben Diaz was playing for Benfica. Very good player, you know, incredible at reading the game, good on the ball, good aerially, got everything, this kid. We should be looking to sign him, and we should also be looking to sign Todibo. We shouldn't stop at just signing Antonio Silva. Paul Mitchell has left Monaco. Paul Mitchell of passed with Southampton, Spurs, RB Leipzig. I mean, you look at some of the players that he's brought in. You know, he brought into Southampton Sadio Mane and Nathaniel Klein, you know, a few others, you know. You look at the Spurs players he brought in, Toby Alderweireld, Heung-min Son, Dele Alli. He's got an eye. And that's just Southampton and just Spurs. You look at Nkunku and Ademola Lookman and Patrick Schick, who at Leipzig, just the sheer numbers and the quality and the ability that he's been able to kind of spot and see. And you look at Monaco and Disasi and Kamara. These are players that would play fantastic for Manchester United. Did you say Klein? You know what? Klein was decent at Southampton when he was first coming through. Okay, he kind of fell off a little bit. But for Southampton, I think a fantastic signing. But you look at Toby Alderweireld, you look at Stephen Davis and Yoshida they brought into Southampton. You know, some top players, and having seen all them left now, where are Southampton? Monaco and Disasi would play fantastic for Manchester United. Monaco and Disasi would play fantastic for Man United. No, I'm saying players that he signed at Monaco, like Disasi and Camara. Yeah. Rafael Varane has also had this to say today during his press conference. This Manchester United team is good enough to win the Champions League. What we're saying, boys, should we just go and win it? I mean, why not? Let's go and win it. We might as well, haven't we? You know what I mean? We've got our big Dane up top. You know, we've got Mason Messi Mount. We've got Bruno Fernandes beasting. We got Onana down the wing. Why not? We might as well. It's something to do, innit? Exactly, Sky. So I agree, Varane. Yeah, of course we can win it. Why not? This was mufcMPB at Twitter, at the X Twitter. The potential lineup to face Galatasaray. He's gone with Bayindir in goal, Amrabat at left back, Maguire, Varane and Dalot filling in at right back. Casemiro is our number 6, our holding defensive midfielder, with Hannibal and Bruno just in front. Garnacho off the left, Martial up top and Mason Mount on the right hand side. Oof. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised, but I can't see Martial coming in. I can't see Martial and I can't see Garnacho starting. I'd like to see that team though. What are you saying, boys? What would be your lineup? Get your lineups in the chat. Get them in the comment section down below if you're watching on demand or you're watching live. You know, I'd love to see your potential lineups for tomorrow. And then we can look back on them on Wednesday and see who was right and who was wrong. If you make them under in the comment section down below on the YouTube video, I believe I believe he's going to go with a strong team. We'll see Rashford off the left still. I think Højlund will play up top. I think on the right hand side he'd potentially go with Hannibal and then Mount and Bruno in the midfield with Casemiro. Maguire to come in. Not sure about Maguire. You know, I'd love to see Evans. You know, I don't want to see Maguire. I want to see Johnny Evans. Johnny Evans played fantastically well against Burnley. There was no reason to drop him against Crystal Palace. I don't know why he was left out of the team. Dalot, I'd even shift Dalot over to the left-hand side and put Lindelof as right back and have Amrabat next to Casemiro with either Bruno just in front or Hannibal. Bruno just in front and then play Hannibal off the right. We've got options though. You know, as much as we've got injuries, we have got options. You know, this... As much as people say, you know, Ten Hag struggling with injuries, we've got a decent squad, we've got a decent team, we should be playing better, we should be getting a performance tomorrow night. I'll be bringing you a matchday vlog at some point this week of that game tomorrow. I'll be there at the game, you know, keep an eye on my Twitter account. Anil Kandil will be live streaming tomorrow just before the game, so make sure you're tuning in and you're here for that. But I'm hopeful. What results-wise, boys? Predictions. Let's have it. I think tomorrow 3-0. Galatasaray have had a great start to the season, though. I believe they've won. They're unbeaten in 7. Zaha's beasting over there, and they're looking dangerous. But I just feel at Old Trafford, I want to see a reaction. You know, we've not had a reaction the last couple of games, and I want to see a big reaction. We should at least be looking to score 2-3 goals. I think this is the game where Højlund starts bagging. I'd love to see a Højlund hat trick in the Champions League. Old Trafford. We've not seen an Old Trafford hat trick from one of our players in the Champions League for a little while. Rashford away at Leipzig. I'm thinking of Robbie van Persie against Fenerbahce, was it? Or was it Galatasaray? I think it wasn't Galatasaray or Fenerbahce. It was the Greek team. Not Panathinaikos. Oh, boys, who did Van Persie score a hat-trick against? Olympiakos, weren't it? Olympiakos. Let's see what we're saying. No one says it in the chat. Predicting United, yeah, Olympiakos, yeah, that was it. I got there in the end. I mean, I was travelling all around that part of the world, but I eventually got there. I just couldn't remember the name. I was thinking of Panathinaikos, Olympiakos. Yeah. So yeah, that's. I'm excited for tomorrow. To see where we're at, and hopefully we'll bring you a win and bring you some good news in regard to takeover and stuff like that. But that'll be me for tonight, boys. Thank you very much for joining in and getting your say in the chat. Make sure you've hit that like button and you've subscribed if you've not already. I will be back Wednesday, and Nil Candola will be here tomorrow to fill you in with all the latest and greatest Manchester United football news. Make sure, again, you hit that like button. Thank you very much for your input. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you boys on Wednesday after us smashing Olympiakos. Come on, United. Anything else you want to say, get it said in the chat before I go, and I'll be sure to read it. I thought the hat-trick of Rooney scored, but then I remembered the game where United were 2-0 down in the first leg and RVB turned it around second leg. Hat-trick, yep. And Rashford also scored... was it against Leipzig? Like a 45-minute hat-trick. So take care, Pika Chad. Take care, Sky. Thank you very much, as always, boys, for dropping in. I appreciate it. I love you very much for coming and supporting the stream, supporting the show, supporting mufcMPB, supporting me at AshMeppers at Twitter and X, and also mufcMPB on the Twitter and X account. Hope you boys have a lovely afternoon, a lovely evening. Go enjoy the football now. I will see you boys on Wednesday. Come on, United. United never die. Let's go, boys. I'll see you boys on Wednesday. Take care. Bye-bye. I mean, I'm saying bye-bye, and I've not even got the stream to end. Make sure, boys, you're hitting that subscribe button. Take care. Look after yourself. Drink plenty of water.